Man, what a roller coaster that game was for the Golden State Warriors. You look at the scoreboard, you look at the energy, and you can't help but feel a mix of frustration and pride at the same time. It's one of those nights where the team fights hard, gives everything they have, and somehow still walks away empty-handed. Against the Sacramento Kings, the Warriors once again showed that they're built to compete, but also reminded us how thin the margin for error can be when some of the biggest stars are missing. Let's just start by saying this. There is no Stephen Curry, no Jimmy Butler, no Draymond Green, and DeAnthony Melton still hasn't even suited up this season. That's a huge chunk of experience, leadership, and scoring gone. You take that out of any roster in the league, and the team is going to struggle. But even with all those absences, the Warriors had moments that made you stop and say, okay, there's something here. The young guys came to play. They didn't back down. They didn't look scared of the moment. Well, Richard, making his first ever start, dropped 30 points like he's been doing this for years. The dude was efficient, confident, and clearly out to prove a point. You could see it in his body language from the opening tip. He wasn't out there just to survive. He wanted to make sure the coaching staff and everyone watching knew he belongs. Moses Moody followed that up with 28 points of his own, playing one of his most composed games of the season. And Jonathan Kuminga, man, he continues to evolve. There's a maturity to his game now that wasn't there before. He's not just trying to dunk on everyone anymore. He's reading defenses, he's picking his spots, and he's showing that he can carry a heavier load when needed. Then there's Brandon Podziemski. If you've been watching closely, you know how this guy operates, smart, controlled, and always thinking one play ahead. Tonight, he nearly notched a triple-double with 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. Every time he had the ball in his hands, it felt like the Warriors were in good hands. He was composed, calm, and had that sense of purpose that you need from a point guard running the show. And even though it wasn't enough to get the win, you could tell his confidence is growing game by game. But let's be honest, there were a lot of frustrating elements in this loss. The officiating? Rough, to say the least. The Kings shot an insane number of free throws in the third quarter alone. It felt like every drive they made ended up with a whistle, while similar contact on the other end didn't get the same call. Now, that's not an excuse, because the Warriors had their own problems too. Turnovers, missed open shots, and stretches where they simply couldn't get a stop. Still, it's tough to keep your rhythm when the other team is living at the line. The Kings, for their part, shot 47% from three-point range. You just can't beat many teams when they're that hot. Even with no Domantas Sabonis, no Zach LaVine, and no Keegan Murray, Sacramento found ways to execute late. Dennis Schroeder, of all people, turned into a flamethrower in clutch time. It felt like every shot he took in those final minutes went straight in. He's one of those players that could drive you crazy when he's on the opposing team because he can go ice cold for weeks and then suddenly catch fire exactly when you don't need it. Al Horford, though, had a night to forget. He's a veteran, he knows how to contribute, but this game just wasn't it. He went 0 for 7 from beyond the arc and couldn't buy a bucket. Defensively, he battled, grabbed some boards, but when you're sitting out one half of a back-to-back, fans expect you to come through in the other one. Missing all those shots while playing nearly 30 minutes is brutal, especially in a game that ended up being decided by just a handful of possessions. And speaking of possessions, that's the real story of this loss. 18 turnovers. 18. You can't give a team like the Kings that many extra opportunities and expect to win, especially when they're shooting lights out. A few of those mistakes were just careless, lazy passes, poor decisions in transition, or just moments where guys didn't seem to be on the same page. Those are the kind of plays that haunt you later when you look at the tape and realize you beat yourself as much as the other team beat you. But even with all the frustration, you can't ignore the positives. The young core of this Warriors squad looked sharp. Well, Richard made a statement. Moody continues to show he's ready for a bigger role. Kuminga's confidence is building. Podziemski is developing into a real floor general. The energy was there, the hustle was there, and for most of the game, the Warriors actually controlled the tempo. They were leading, dictating the pace, and looking like the more composed team. Then, as the game wore on, a few defensive breakdowns and those costly turnovers gave Sacramento the opening they needed. There was one possession in particular that summed up the night. Late in the fourth, the Warriors had a chance to tie it up. Podziemski hit a clutch three to cut it to 3 points. Then, on the next play, Kuminga gets the ball with space. You can almost see the hesitation. He's between taking the shot and driving in. He fades away instead of attacking, and the ball rims out. It's that 1 second hesitation, that lack of absolute conviction that separates wins from losses. It's experience, plain and simple. And that's the thing. These young guys are learning on the fly. Coach Steve Kerr is going to have a lot to think about. Well, Richard has made it clear he deserves more minutes, maybe even a consistent spot in the rotation. You can tell the coaching staff wanted to give him some time to develop in Santa Cruz, but after a performance like this, that conversation changes. Well, a player drops 30 points in his first start. You can't just send him back down. You got to ride that momentum. And honestly, with this being a win-now team, Curry, Draymond, and Butler nearing the later stages of their careers, it might be time to trust the young talent more. What makes this loss sting even more is that it feels like deja vu. Warriors fans have seen this movie before. Close game, solid effort, but turnovers and missed opportunities down the stretch end up costing the win. It's been a theme of the past couple of seasons. Back in 2022, when they won the championship, they took care of the ball, hit their open shots, and executed late. That's the formula. Since then, too many games have slipped away in almost identical fashion. And look, no one's panicking yet. The season's still young, but when you look ahead at the schedule, Nuggets, Thunder, Spurs again, all in the next week, it's clear the margin for error is shrinking fast. A 5-4 record can quickly turn into 5-8 if things don't click. And it's not because this team isn't talented enough. It's because they haven't found that late-game identity yet. You can feel that hunger, that urgency, but sometimes the execution just doesn't follow through. It's also tough watching the standings shift so quickly. Just a week ago, the Warriors were sitting near the top, ranked among the top 3 in most power rankings. Now, they're hovering around play-in territory, and that's not where a team of this caliber belongs. Injuries, illnesses, inconsistent rotations, all of that adds up. But this roster was built to compete for a title, not to hang around the middle of the pack. Still, if there's one thing to take from nights like this, it's that the young guys can play. They're not perfect, but they're fearless. They just need reps, minutes, and trust. Watching Richard, Moody, Kuminga, and Podziemski together feels like a glimpse into the future, a new generation learning to carry the torch. Sure, they made mistakes, but the potential is real. So yeah, it's a painful loss, one that could have easily gone the other way. But sometimes, these are the games that shape a team's identity. The ones where the young guys take the floor, feel the pressure, and realize what it takes to finish the job. The effort was there. The execution wasn't perfect. The officiating didn't help. But you can sense that hunger building. You can feel that edge starting to form. The Warriors might have lost on the scoreboard, but they gained something much more important. A reminder that the future is already here and ready to fight. When you look at the bigger picture, this loss against the Kings says a lot about where the Golden State Warriors are right now as a team. It's that strange middle ground between generations, where the veterans who built the dynasty are nearing the twilight of their careers, and the young guys are trying to prove they can carry the torch. That's not an easy balance to find, and you can see it play out every night. One game, everything clicks, and it feels like the Warriors are back to their championship form. The next, the inconsistency and inexperience start to show, and it becomes clear that the transition is still in progress. What's interesting about this version of the Warriors is that even when they lose, there are small signs of growth. The energy, the effort, the way the young players talk to each other on the court. There's something brewing beneath the surface. You can feel the chemistry slowly building, even if the results haven't fully caught up yet. Well, Richard, for instance, played like someone who refuses to go unnoticed. He brought a level of aggression and confidence that this team has been missing in the second unit for a long time. It's one thing to score 30 points. It's another to do it while keeping your composure and playing within the system. That shows maturity. Moses Moody, too, continues to make the most of every opportunity. He's no longer just a rotation player filling minutes when the stars are resting. He's becoming a real option, someone the team can trust in big moments. You could see him stepping into his shots without hesitation, attacking closeouts, and defending with a level of intensity that kept the Warriors in the game. He's always had the tools. It was just about confidence and consistency. And now, both seem to be catching up to his talent. Jonathan Kuminga remains one of the most fascinating pieces of this puzzle. There's so much raw ability there, and you can tell he's starting to understand how to harness it. He's learning how to read the game better, picking his moments to attack, and showing patience that wasn't always part of his game before. When he's locked in, he's nearly impossible to guard because of that combination of athleticism and power. He's starting to figure out that it's not always about the highlight play. It's about making the right play. And when he gets that balance right, he's one of the most dangerous players on the floor. As for Brandon Podziemski, this might have been his most complete game so far this season. His court vision is sharp, and he moves with the kind of rhythm that keeps the offense flowing. What stands out about him isn't just the stats, it's the composure. You don't see that kind of calm in many rookies. He knows when to push, when to slow it down, and when to take control. The one thing that still needs cleaning up are the careless turnovers. There were a few tonight that were just unnecessary, passes without enough zip, or plays that felt rushed. But again, that's part of the learning curve. The real challenge for the Warriors now is figuring out how to merge the two worlds, the wisdom of the veterans and the fire of the younger guys. When Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy are back, the question becomes, how do you integrate these emerging players without losing the identity that made the team great? Because if there's one thing clear from this stretch, it's that the future of the Warriors depends on how much trust they're willing to place in these new faces. They bring energy, athleticism, and hunger that the team desperately needs. And look, this isn't the first time the Warriors have had to reinvent themselves. Think back to those tough seasons right after the dynasty years, when injuries piled up and the team was searching for direction. Out of that chaos came the foundation for the next chapter. Guys like Poole, Wiggins, and now this new wave of talent. It's what makes this franchise so unique. They don't just rebuild, they retool while staying competitive. Still, the patience of fans is being tested. It's easy to say trust the process when you're watching a rebuilding team with no expectations. But for the Warriors, expectations are always sky high. Every loss feels heavier because this is a team that's used to winning. You don't look at a 5-4 record and think, that's fine. You think about how close they were to being 6-3 or even better. And that's what makes this loss sting. It wasn't about effort or desire. It was about the little mistakes that championship teams simply don't make. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Even before the NBA season heats up, the rumor mill is already swirling, and this one has Lakers fans biting their nails. In what has quickly become the talk of the basketball world, none other than Shaquille O'Neal, the legendary big man and former Lakers superstar, has spoken about the Golden State Warriors, and it's not the kind of comment LA fans wanted to hear. Sources close to the situation say that SHAQ, known for his larger-than-life personality and candid takes, didn't hold back when discussing the Warriors' chances this season. Word is that he hinted at a Golden State team that is not only healthy, but perhaps more dangerous than ever, with whispers that their chemistry and star power could eclipse even the Lakers' ambitions. The timing of his remarks, of course, has Lakers fans on edge, fueling speculation that even former legends are betting against the purple and gold this year. The NBA community is buzzing over every word, analyzing every possible angle. Could this be Shaq just stirring the pot, a playful jab at his old team, or is there a kernel of truth behind the comments? Rumors suggest he may have been watching the Warriors' off-season moves closely, noting subtle shifts in strategy and potential lineups that could make life very difficult for LA once the regular season begins. Social media has exploded, with fans of both teams dissecting Shaq's remarks. Lakers supporters are furiously debating whether this is just talk or a real warning sign that the Warriors are primed to dominate. Meanwhile, Golden State fans are savoring the attention, interpreting Shaq's words as an early nod of respect to their dynasty. Basketball forums are packed with speculation. Who will emerge as the true heavyweight in the West? Will the Lakers prove Shaq wrong? Or are the Warriors quietly assembling a juggernaut capable of rewriting expectations? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. SHAQ's comment has lit a fire under the NBA rumor mill. Every pundit, blogger, and fan seems to have an opinion, and no one is willing to let the moment pass without analysis. Lakers watchers are nervously awaiting the first tip-off, knowing that the shadow of SHAQ's words will linger over every matchup with Golden State. The league thrives on drama, and this off-season whisper might just be the spark that sets the stage for one of the most intriguing showdowns yet. In the end, whether SHAQ was joking, teasing, or issuing a veiled warning, the buzz is undeniable. And as Lakers fans nervously scroll through every highlight and headline, one question remains. Will this season prove SHAQ right, or will the Lakers silence the doubters once again? Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.